Did you know that over the last couple of decades, scientists have witnessed something terrifying? Something is happening to the Great Red Spot that no one saw coming. It's getting smaller, and by smaller, we mean a lot smaller. At some point in history, the Great Red Spot was once so large that 3 entire Earths could fit inside of it. But today, it's shrunk so much that it could only fit 1 Earth in its place. It's like watching a ticking time bomb in real time. Scientists don't know why it's happening. They don't even know if it's dying. And worst of all, they can't predict what will happen next. Some believe it could vanish within our lifetime, which raises the question, should we be worried about this? To answer that question, here's everything you need to know about Jupiter's most famous storm. It's been around for as long as humans have been around. As far back as Galileo Galilei's day, the Great Red Spot has been a permanent fixture on the planet Jupiter. He first spotted the storm in 1664 and described it as a small disturbance in a belt of clouds surrounding the planet. At the time, he estimated its diameter to be about 20,000 miles wide. That's about the same size as the United States. But these days, the Great Red Spot is closer to 8,000 miles wide, meaning it has shrunk by more than half over the past 300 years. In fact, NASA's Juno spacecraft has discovered that the storm has been shrinking at an average rate of about 970 miles per year, which is extremely fast when you consider that it's literally a planet. So, what's going on? Well, we're not exactly sure. The Great Red Spot is a high-pressure storm located in the southern hemisphere of the planet Jupiter. It's so big that the Earth simply vanishes into its colossal depths. And it's so powerful that it sucks up anything that gets too close. In fact, the Great Red Spot has been sucking up gas from Jupiter's atmosphere for hundreds of years, which is thought to be the reason behind its immense power. But in recent years, scientists have noticed that the storm is getting weaker. It is no longer able to suck up gas from the planet's surface as quickly as it used to. In fact, the Great Red Spot is now losing its ability to maintain its shape, which has never happened before. If this trend continues, scientists believe that the Great Red Spot could eventually disappear altogether. But why is it doing this? Nobody knows. No one has ever seen a storm like this before. So there's no way of telling how it behaves, let alone what happens when it dies. Some say it's dying, others say it's just changing shape. But what we do know is that something weird is going on down there. According to scientists, the storm is going through a series of drastic changes that could dramatically change the landscape of Jupiter. For starters, the Great Red Spot isn't actually red, it's brown. The reason why it looks red is because of the way that light reflects off of the storm. When sunlight hits the storm, most of it bounces back into space, but some of it gets trapped inside the clouds. This trapped light then scatters off of the particles in the clouds, which makes the storm look red. It's also not a spot, at least not in the traditional sense. It's actually a vortex that rotates counterclockwise. The wind speeds inside the storm range from 250 to 400 miles per hour, which is equivalent to the speed of a Boeing 747. And while the storm is fairly static overall, there are still small areas within the storm that move around. These areas are called vortices, and they range in size from 120 to 250 miles across. The small vortices rotate in a clockwise direction, and they move around the larger storm in an erratic fashion. For a very long time, scientists were baffled by these small vortices, but they've since figured out that they're caused by changes in altitude. Basically, when air rises in the storm, it cools, which forms clouds. And when the air sinks, it warms, which evaporates the clouds. These rising and sinking air currents create areas of high and low pressure, which in turn creates these small vortices. It's kind of like a mini tornado inside of a bigger tornado, but instead of water, it's made of gas. All of this is normal behavior for the Great Red Spot. It's been doing it for centuries. But recently, scientists have noticed something different. The storm is starting to lose its shape. Its edges are becoming ragged, and it's starting to resemble a comma. At first, scientists thought that this was just a natural fluctuation in the storm's behavior. But as time went on, it became clear that something else was happening. In 2018, NASA's Juno spacecraft took a series of photos that revealed the true extent of the damage. The photos showed that the storm had become significantly smaller and that its winds were now blowing in strange directions. In fact, the storm had become so distorted that it was no longer even visible from Earth. If it wasn't for Juno, who knows how long it would have taken us to figure out what was going on. So, what's causing this dramatic change in behavior? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Nobody knows for sure, but there are a few theories. Some scientists believe that the Great Red Spot is simply going through a natural cycle. After all, it has been around for hundreds of years. So it's bound to go through some rough patches every now and then. Others believe that something external is affecting the storm. Perhaps a comet or an asteroid has crashed into Jupiter and is causing the storm to behave erratically. Or maybe it's just a random fluctuation in Jupiter's atmosphere. Unfortunately, we won't know for sure until we get more data. But in the meantime, we can only speculate. Now, while the Great Red Spot may not be as big as it once was, it's still a very impressive storm. In fact, it's the largest storm that we have ever seen in our solar system. It's big enough to swallow Earth whole, and it's powerful enough to destroy any spacecraft that gets too close. In fact, the Great Red Spot almost destroyed NASA's Galileo spacecraft back in 1995. The spacecraft was orbiting Jupiter at the time, and it was supposed to take a picture of the storm. But as it approached the storm, the spacecraft's antenna got damaged, which cut off communications with Earth. For 8 days, NASA had no idea what had happened to Galileo. They thought that the spacecraft had crashed into Jupiter. But when communications were finally restored, they realized that the storm had knocked the spacecraft out of orbit. But despite the danger that it poses, the Great Red Spot is also one of the most beautiful things that we have ever seen in space. It's a massive storm, but it's also a work of art. The colors are amazing and the shapes are incredible. It really is a sight to behold. If you ever get the chance to see it for yourself, then you should definitely take it. Just make sure you don't get sucked inside. So what should we make of all this? Should we be worried that the Great Red Spot is shrinking? The honest answer is we don't know. There's no way of telling what will happen when the storm finally disappears. But I wouldn't worry too much. Even if it does disappear, it will probably just reform in a few hundred years. It's just the nature of these storms. They come and go. But in the meantime, we can enjoy the show. Now, while the Great Red Spot may be one of the most fascinating things that we have ever seen in space, there are plenty of other things out there that are just as interesting. We've covered many of them on this channel, but if you want to learn about more, then I highly recommend checking out another channel. Their videos are fun, informative, and beautifully animated. They cover topics from space exploration to black holes to the origins of the universe. They really have something for everyone, and best of all, they're releasing new videos every week. So there's always something fresh to watch. You can watch them on their channel or on their app, which is available on iOS and Android. They've got thousands of videos in their library, so you'll never run out of things to watch. Plus, their app is completely ad-free, so you can watch all of their videos without any interruptions. So, if you're looking for a great way to learn about the most amazing things in the universe, then I highly recommend checking out another channel. Thanks for watching.